Welcome back to cooking every single recipe in the official Stardew Valley cookbook. Today we're making stuffing. Don't forget to subscribe and vote for what I make next in the comments below. To start this recipe off, we're going to want to take 1.5 pounds of bread and cut it or tear it into bite-sized pieces. Technically the recipe says you should cut off the crust, but I went no, I'm going to keep the crust on anyway, but you can remove it if you want. Once all your bread is cut, you're going to put it onto a cooking tray and cook it in the oven at 300 degrees for 30 minutes, stirring it every 10 minutes, just until it's like dry and crispy, but not browned. While that's in the oven, you're going to want to cut up 3 large celery stalks, 2 small yellow onions, 1 teaspoon fresh rosemary leaves, 2 teaspoons chopped fresh thyme leaves, and 10 large fresh sage leaves, and just put those aside. Celery and onions can go together, rosemary and thyme can go together, and sage is separate. Alright, once the bread is out of the oven, you're going to up the temperature to 375 and then put in half a cup of blanched raw hazelnuts. I don't really know what blanched is and we couldn't find it, but that's probably fine. And then you're going to put them in the oven for 7 to 9 minutes, stirring frequently to make sure they're evenly toasted. Now at this point I grabbed the apples, but then realized I shouldn't cut them yet because I didn't need them for another like 15 minutes, so I didn't want them to brown. But you can cut them now, you just cut them into bite-sized pieces, don't peel them, just remove the core. Alright, now in a high-sided pan, you're going to melt half a cup of butter over medium heat, and then you're going to add your onions and celery, and you're going to cook them until they're starting to soften. Not necessarily soft yet, just starting to soften. You're also going to season it pretty generously with salt and pepper. And then once the vegetables are softened enough, you're going to add your rosemary and thyme along with your chopped apples and more salt and pepper, and cook those until the vegetables and apples are tender. So you can stick your fork in them and and it comes out clean, comes off easily. Once your apples and vegetables are tender, you're going to add in your sage and half a cup of cranberries. And you're going to just cook those for only a minute. And then once those are all cooked, you're going to then put them in a bowl along with your bread and your hazelnuts and just mix it all together. Now, you're going to grab 3 cups of vegetable broth and 2 eggs and whisk them together. Now, you're going to pour that mixture over top of your bread mixture and just mix it together, allowing all this broth to get absorbed into the bread, so let it sit for about 15 minutes. If there's a little bit of broth at the bottom of the bowl, it's fine. Now, put all your stuffing into a baking dish and take 2 tablespoons of butter and cut them into small cubes and dot the top of it with it. And then you're going to put tin foil over top and throw it in the oven for 30 minutes. And then once those 30 minutes are up, you're going to remove the tin foil, cook it for 15 minutes, then rotate it and cook it for another 15 minutes, and then it has to sit for 10 minutes and then you can eat it. This is pretty good. Not the biggest fan of the texture the hazelnuts gave, but I did kind of like the little sweet that the apple and cranberries add. It was a nice little twist, nice little pizzazz on your normal stuffing. Not something I would make normally for Thanksgiving, but I do think you could take some elements from the stuffing and incorporate it to make a very, very good stuffing. But all in all, I would give this like 7 out of 10.